Hello everyone, and welcome to the first webinar of the Emerging Sciences Foundation. My name is Michael Molina, President and Founder of the Emerging Sciences Foundation. I'm honored to present today Swami Mounamurti Saraswati, Founder and Chairman of the Kundalini Research Project, based in Sydney, Australia. Today Muna will be talking about the importance of balance in the process of awakening Kundalini, and we'll talk a little bit about the Kundalini Research Project mission and organization itself. Just so that you're all aware, after the presentation, the notes will be available for download. So in case you miss anything, you'll be able to get them after the presentation. Muna, welcome and thank you for joining us today.
Thanks very much, Mike. And I'd like to extend a warm welcome to all the people from around the world that have registered for the webinar today. There's people registered from 20 countries, and I'd like to thank you all and welcome you all. I'll just briefly run through the countries that have registered, just to acknowledge you all. There's people from Australia, Belgium, Canada, Finland, France, Germany, India, Ireland, Israel, Lithuania, Netherlands, New Zealand, Slovenia, South Africa, Spain, Sri Lanka, Switzerland, United Arab Emirates, United Kingdom, and United States. So before I get going on the slides that we'll be seeing in this presentation, I'd just like to say a special thank you to a few special people for tuning into my live webinar today. To three dear friends, also they are guru buyers, and what that means for those that aren't aware of it means that we have the same guru. They're also mentors and yogis. And in Australia, I'd like to mention Swami Saraswati, Dr. John Mumford, and Dr. Swami Shankar Devanand Saraswati. And from India, I'd like to mention Mr. Ajay Patel, who's a yogi from Madhya Pradesh, who I believe has a big group of people with him watching today. I'd just like to say Hari Om and thank you. Namaste. Okay, so now we're going to move into the first slide. The theme today is about balancing the brain. As I anticipate that the groups registered today from various levels of experience and curiosity, I'll anticipate their engagement or engage them in different ways, intellectually, practically, conceptually, and spiritually. So before I move in to the next slide, I'd just like to make a special announcement. This week's been a very interesting week for the KRP, Kundalini Research Project, and I'd like to announce that the KRP has an official laboratory at the UNESCO World Peace Centre, that's at the Centre for Biofield Sciences in Maharashtra Institute of Technology at Pune. That's MIT University in India. And that's partially because, or in great thanks go out to the CEO and founder, Dr. Thornton Streeter. That institute is a cutting-edge research institute into bioenergy, and we've formed an alliance, strategic partnership, so we can move forward with this project. So I'll just go into a little bit. Philosophy and concept of Kundalini is as old as mankind itself. It is believed that when the ancient sages started to have their own direct perception of the spiritual processes and enlightenment within themselves, they wasted no time in exploring the vast science of the soul. Kundalini is a very ancient cross-cultural phenomenon, and the knowledge of it almost disappeared as civilizations came and then went into decline. However, this sublime philosophy and science of Kundalini was preserved by Indian, Nepalese, and Tibetan spiritual traditions and yogis. Today, as we move towards 2015, it is necessary for society and mainstream science to understand the spiritual science of Kundalini Yoga. During this presentation, I'll briefly mention some specific practices to assist the person interested in progressing through the process of spiritual awakening, and briefly introduce the Kundalini Research Project and the research project adopted between the KRP and the Emerging Sciences Foundation. It is a visionary and scientific approach that contains 3 steps. The first 2 steps will be conducted by ESF in collaboration with the KRP. And the final step, step 3, will be conducted by the Kundalini Research Project in collaboration with the Centre for Biofield Sciences, which I've just mentioned. And I intend to expand on this during the final slide presentation before the Q&A section. This is a vast spiritual science which has as yet been neglected by mainstream science. Now if we can just click over to the next presentation, Mike. And the next one, please. You just go to the next one here. Yeah, thanks, Mike. Okay, so I could just ask you just to look deeply into the symbolism presented in this diagram, as it represents many great mysteries, both macrocosmic and microcosmic, that science is still trying to understand. On a macrocosmic level, elite scientists from around the globe at CERN, that's the European organisation in Switzerland, are conducting nuclear research at the world's largest particle physics laboratory. Through their Hadron Collider, the scientists are possibly trying to recreate a black hole from where the universe emerged, or a wormhole or stargate to other unknown dimensions and galaxies. Note also at CERN that they have a large 2-metre high statue of the dancing Shiva, Nataraj. And on a microscopic level, it represents the mysterious path of the awakened Kundalini Shakti, a partly biological phenomena in every human being. My spiritual teacher and guru, Swami Satchidananda Saraswati, who's the founder of the famous Bihar School of Yoga, once said to a group of Australian scientists in 1984 that yoga is a science and you are the scientist. Ordinarily, knowledge takes place by a combination of 1, the senses, 5 senses, 2, the object, and 3, the mind. I'd just like you to ask yourself, can knowledge take place without the senses and the object? The psychic mind or the yogic mind says yes, that experience and knowledge can take place by your awareness going into the deeper layers of your mind. The scope of your knowledge can then be increased, and as you go on progressing in yoga and meditation, you go on beyond relative knowledge to absolute knowledge or absolute consciousness. By separating your mind from the objective experiences, mind can experience absolute consciousness, which is beyond the contents of the mind. Now, if you'd like to ponder, have you ever asked yourself about the big questions in life regarding the science of the soul, or the soul or God? Science has not yet answered these questions. Why? Yet they have continued to look outside at other planets, as they have done for centuries, and spent trillions of dollars on this, and still they have not yet provided the basic answers to these questions for every human being. What is the reason for being born? What is my relationship with God? What is it? What is prayer? What is compassion? What is reincarnation? Still nobody scientifically has told you any definitive answers. Yoga says to answer these big questions that you have to become the subject of your scientific experiment. You must also become the scientist, and you must become the laboratory, and you then become the object of your inquiry. Then when you get your own answers and absolute knowledge, yoga relieves all kinds of physical and emotional tensions. Some tensions that you have accumulated throughout life, and those tensions which you have inherited from your previous lives or incarnations. But the journey of discovering these tensions and desires reside in your much deeper personality. And yoga is the science which does this, and much more not as its aim, but as a byproduct of discovering yourself. That is yoga. So the concepts of the next slide, Mike, we'll just move through to the next slide. Now these concepts that are presented in this slide, I put this together many years ago after reading a book from Stephen Hawking, and just putting it together with what was in my mind about yogic concepts. If you look at this, you'll see on the right-hand side on the horizontal line, Pratyahara. Now, the Pratyahara comes from Ashtanga Yoga. That's Rishi Patanjali's eight stages of yoga. Now, Ashtanga Yoga is not to be confused with the brand name or commercially patented brand name Ashtanga Yoga. Rishi Patanjali codified this in the Yoga Sutras. The 8 stages as Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi. When through Pranayama and the previous exoteric limbs of yoga, Pratyahara, which we can see on the diagram on the right-hand side there, on the horizontal line, when Pratyahara is achieved, esoteric yoga begins, as outlined in the diagram. So through the awakening of Muladhara chakra, through the awakening of Sushumna, the energy travels upwards through the Sushumna, which is inside the spinal cord. And as it transcends or moves through the Brahman Nadi, up through Sushumna, you transcend time and space. And merging through dhyana to the highest levels, you go beyond time and space to the more absolute Sahasrara or Samadhi or Laya. The time and space is relative and transcended as dhyana fuses into Samadhi or the absolute. The evolutionary phenomena of Kundalini and the goal sought is the real essence of the word yoga, the spiritual science. Union of the individual soul with the cosmic soul, that is yoga. Now if you'd like to flip to the next slide, Mike, please. Thank you. On this slide, we've got a picture of the chakra system inside the astral body. The most important 3 nadis are mentioned there: Ida Nadi, Pingala Nadi, Sushumna Nadi, which emanate from Muladhara chakra at the base chakra, going up to Agnya chakra, or it's the 6th chakra, behind the eyebrow center, and the Sahasrara, the 1,000-petal lotus above. And you can see the aura around that. That's the aura emanating in the astral body, or you might say Pranamaya Kosha has been awakened. So, a couple of points I'm going to make out here. Did you know that there's a correlation between the brain hemisphere activity and the alternating breath flow cycle, that's the swara in the nostrils? And that in a healthy spiritual awakening, it can result by an in-depth personal analysis and devotion to one's breath. There is a biological rhythm in the body, in everybody's biological body, that alternates the flow of the breath in the nostrils every 60 to 90 minutes. And I'll expand a little bit on that in later slides. When dhyana, or deep meditation, occurs, the central nervous system, that is the brain and the spinal cord, is in a state of heightened activation, not inertia or dullness, as people may think meditation is. Only when there's a perfect balance between the pranic flows can the spiritual evolutionary journey truly fully awaken. This is related to the breath. To balance the brain, an organ that has not yet completely been fully known by contemporary science, according to the ancient science of yoga, first you must know something about Ida and Pingala and Sushumna nadis, which I've just mentioned in the astral body. Ida is the name of the nadi. Nadi means flow of consciousness, which correlates to the left nostril. you try to meditate, when the breath is flowing in the left nostril, the right brain hemisphere is active and your mind will be unable to fully focus and concentrate on one object, as it will be introverted and distracted by subconscious thoughts. Pingala is the name of the nadi which correlates to the right nostril. You try to meditate when the breath is flowing in the right nostril, the left brain hemisphere is active. Your mind will be focused and distracted by thoughts about your body, discomfort and extroversion. To have a healthy body and mind, you have to have a balance between these two great forces in the human body. And this is the philosophy behind Hatha Yoga and all the yogas dealing with prana, such as Kriya Yoga, Laya Yoga, Kundalini Yoga, and Swara Yoga. Sushumna Nadi, which is the central nadi, the vertical nadi, which intersects all the chakras, the 6 chakras, is said to be operating when the breath flow is perfectly equal in both nostrils. If you try to concentrate or meditate when Sushumna is flowing, meditation and one-pointed concentration can easily happen spontaneously. To facilitate a balanced breath flow, which does occur as a natural biorhythm cycle every 90 minutes approximately, according to Swara Yoga, we have to discipline first the breath flows by the practice of alternate nostril breathing, called in yogic terminology Nadi Shodhan Pranayama. Nadi means flow of consciousness, Shodhan means purification, and Pranayama means extension of the prana. Either can be thought of as lunar, parasympathetic nervous system, feminine, yin, subconscious, and chitta, or the mind. Pingala can be thought as solar, sympathetic nervous system, male, yang, conscious mind, prana Shakti. There's a hint here for health researchers. They should look above at Ida and Pingala to chronic imbalances being one of the major causes of psychological and somatic disorders. Sushumna can be thought of as cerebrospinal, central nervous system, light, androgynous. Now, according to tradition, when we talk about androgynous, there is, what comes to my mind is Ardhanishvar, the half male, female form of Shiva. I don't know if you can see it, but I'm holding it up now, which is on the KRP banner homepage, the website, half male, half female. Very important. According to tradition, there are 72,000 meridians, or nadis, meridians in the traditional Chinese medicine system, nadis in the yogic system, tantric system, that permeate the multi-dimensional bodies. They are flooded with a new spiritual light energy during the awakening of Sushumna. Through a yogic process of purification and awakening, these 3 most subtle nadis, the flow of consciousness, are brought into operation. The first form of awakening is brought about through the disciplining and awakening of Ida and Pingala nadis. The second stage is a mild awakening in one or more of the chakras. The third stage is the awakening of Sushumna nadi. The Shakti is withdrawn from Ida and Pingala nadis, and a new higher spiritual force emanates forth up the Sushumna nadi. Fourth stage, which is the awakening of Kundalini Shakti. When Sushumna is clear, a new spiritual force is generated. This is the energy of the cosmos, known as Kundalini Shakti, as it rises through the central canal of the spinal cord. Very interesting. The central canal of the spinal cord, the playground for yogis. Towards the brain, the mystical chakra is fully open. A lifelong yogic lifestyle is the key to the above. Ida, Pingala, Sushumna. And another hint here is to look into the emerging science of epigenetics, which my friend Swami Mounamurti put me on to for research, which I believe is based on the sound principles of yogic lifestyle. DNA can be restructured and improved by yoga. Science already is acknowledging it. Now we're going to try a hands-on experiment. If you'd like to flick through to the next slide, please, Mike. Okay, here we're going to have a little bit of fun with alternate nostril breathing. So if you'd just like to read the note below the diagram or the pictures, first breathe, hold your hands in front of your face, just below your nostrils, close your mouth, and gently breathe out, in and out a few times, and just feel the breath flow coming out of the nostrils into the palms of your hands. Or if you have a mirror, there's another practice, you can breathe gently into a little mirror. You'll notice the condensation if you're using a mirror. It might show it or indicate the flow is moving through the left nostril or right nostril, or it's flowing evenly through both nostrils, which is most auspicious. So now we're going to try a practice of alternate nostril breathing, where I'd like to ask you to first position your right hand in front of the right forearm vertical, the index finger placed gently on the eyebrow center and the middle finger touching the eyebrow center. And leave your thumb and your ring finger to control the flow of the breath in both nostrils. Now I'll ask you just lightly to close your eyes and listen to me as we go through the practice for about 5 minutes. Now we're going to commence each round of Nadi Shodhana, or alternate nostril breathing, from the left nostril. In practice at home, you can start the first round by breathing through any nostril that is most open, or meaning not congested. The breath is flowing easily. Now I'd like you to place your thumb gently on your right nostril and commence breathing gently through your left nostril. Draw the breath in through the left nostril for a few seconds. Close the left nostril with the ring finger, release the thumb and exhale slowly out the right nostril. Then breathe gently in through the right nostril, close it gently with the thumb, release the ring finger and exhale gently out the left nostril. That's one round. Now we'll continue. Breathe slowly in through the left nostril, close the left nostril with the ring finger, release the thumb from the right nostril, exhale out through the right nostril. Then breathe in through the right, close the right nostril with the thumb, release the ring finger, exhale gently out through the left nostril. Then continue for a few minutes in your own time. Just breathing gently and slowly and rhythmically without any strain whatsoever, either physically or mentally, no strain at all. Just flowing with a gentle breath, alternating the breath flow through the right and left nostril. Just continue in your own time and try for a few rounds to equalize the length of the breath flowing in the left and right nostril. You can do this by mentally counting to yourself the length of the breath. As you inhale, mentally count to yourself 1 Om, 2 Om, 3 Om, 4 Om, 5 Om. Exhaling 1 Om, 2 Om, 3 Om, 4 Om, 5 Om, and so forth. Whatever it is, just trying to mentally count the length of your comfortable breath and equalize it without any strain whatsoever. Now I'd like you to keep your eyes closed, relax the right hand, just place it on the knees, and just keeping the eyes closed, just become aware of the breath, how it feels like it's flowing in both nostrils. Be aware of the breath, the gentle flow of the breath. Awareness, take your awareness right in the nostrils, gently flowing with the breath. And be aware of the breath, the gentle flow of the breath, how it feels, maybe the temperature of the breath, the length of the breath, And maybe aware of any light, any indication of light behind the closed eyes. When the breath is perfectly balanced, sometimes you see an inner light behind the closed eyes in the mind space. That light might appear for a few moments. It might begin to spin or drift off in other directions. Just try and mentally bring it back if it appears, or be aware of the spin. It's like electrons, an electron cloud in chemistry. We have a nucleus and the electrons moving around like a cloud. Now you can relax and just slowly open your eyes and just be aware how you feel after a few minutes of alternate nostril breathing. Now if you're practicing that practice at home, I encourage you to practice it in the morning before you start your day's activities, after some postures, some yoga postures, asanas, or before you go to bed at night. It's a great time to practice as well. Usually the sequence is first practice asana, then pranayama, the breathing techniques of yoga. So now we're going to move to the next slide, please, Mike. So these next two slides, we're going to briefly run through them. These two slides came when I was thinking about this presentation on the webinar. What I've written down here, I actually saw my inner dream. I saw and was told. This is how the unconscious mind works. The thoughts came in, showed me what I had to present, which is what I'm presenting today in these next two slides. Pingala Nadi is active when the breath is flowing in the right nostril. It's called Prana Shakti. Ida Nadi is active when the breath is flowing through the left nostril. It's called Mana Shakti. Prana Shakti is intimately connected with the gross physical body, the Stula Sharira, and the Annamaya Kosha, the food-dependent body. More subtle, also Prana Shakti is connected to the more subtle than Annamaya Kosha, the Pranamaya Kosha. Kosha means sheath. Now I won't get right into the information about the koshas. Just flick to the next slide, please, Mike. Okay, before I get moving into what's written on the next slide, I'll just briefly mention a little bit about the Panchakosha theory, which is the theory, or the theory about the five sheaths that contain the soul. Panchakosha, Panch means five sheaths. The Annamaya Kosha, physical body, the food-dependent body, connected to Muladhara chakra. Pranamaya Kosha, the bioplasmic energy, still connected to the physical body, Swadhisthana and Manipur chakra. Manomaya Kosha, connected to the astral body, the subconscious mind, and Anahat chakra. Vijnanamaya Kosha, the astral body, the unconscious mind, or psychic body, Vishuddhi and Agnya chakra. The Anandamaya Kosha, the causal body, bliss, superconscious mind, the Sahasrara. Now when the breath is flowing in both nostrils with a perfectly equal flow for an extended period of time, it is said between 15 to 30 days, is a prior indication that you should prepare or start preparing for the awakening of Sushumna Nadi and Kundalini Shakti. Another prior indication is the awakening of Anahat Nada, or the inner sound coming from the unstruck sound coming from Anahat chakra. It's a sound that doesn't have any striking. There's no sound. The sound's coming from within the Anahat chakra. Now the Sushumna Nadi only grants access pathway to the chakras fully. As the Kundalini Shakti rises through the chakras, your awareness passes through all of the 4 koshas, the body sheaths mentioned above, and finally it enters the Karana Sharira, or the causal body, the Anandamaya kosha. Ananda, as I mentioned, means bliss. Now some notes on this slide also. The jiva, which is the individual soul, which inhabits and animates these 3 bodies, at death departs with the astral and causal body, which contains the balance, very importantly, of your remaining karma. The Stula Sharira, the physical body, the Linga or Sushumna Sharira, the astral body, Karana Sharira, the causal body. So the Sukshma and the Karana Sharira depart with your karmas at death. Now I'd like to read for you a couple of quotes. First one's from my guru Swami Satchinanda about Kundalini. Kundalini does not belong to the physical body, though it has to be searched for there, nor in the mental body or even in the astral body. It is the unconscious causal body. In that particular state of awareness, where the concept of time, space, and object is completely lost. The seat of the unconscious in man is in the perineum, known in yogic terminology as Muladhara. It is a gland, it is a muscle, it is a body in which all the unconscious powers and initiates of man are hidden. I'd like to repeat a quote from Swami Shivananda. By pranayama and other yogic processes, the static Shakti is affected and becomes dynamic. When completely dynamic, or kinetic, when Kundalini unites with Shiva, that is the divine consciousness in the Sahasrara, the polarization of the body gives way. The 2 poles are united in one, and there is a state of consciousness called Samadhi. So there's a lot of concepts, maybe new concepts we're going through today. If you'd like to just go to the next slide, please, Mike. Next, Mike. We're going through, which I introduced earlier, the chakra network in your body. As I mentioned, the astral body. The astral body containing the chakras, the 6 chakras, and the Sahasrara. And of course we see the vertical Sushumna and the intersecting Ida and Pingala nadis, which go like a intertwining snake between the 2 terminal points of Muladhara and Agnya. Interesting to note, if you look at the traditional symbology, starting from Muladhara, it has 4 petals. Swadhisthana, 2nd chakra, as we rise vertically, has 6 petals. Manipur, 3rd chakra, has 10 petals. Anahat, 4th chakra, has 12 petals. Vishuddhi, the throat chakra, has 16 petals. Agnya, the eyebrow center, has 2 petals. Sahasrara has 1,000 petals. I would like also to mention here the 50 petals in the chakras, that this is an exact correlation to the 50 Sanskrit letters of the Sanskrit alphabet. Sanskrit is a very important science. The KRP, the Kundalini Research Project, will reveal more scientific correlations during the actual KRP experiment. Before I move on to the next slide, I'd like to say special thanks regarding the Kundalini Research Project. One, to the inspiring yogi, Kashmiri yogi, Pandit Gopi Krishna. Please read his books and check out his videos on YouTube. Pandit Gopi Krishna inspired the vision of the KRP, and through his friends and colleagues, this mission started in earnest in 1970, 43 years ago. His friend and colleague, Dr. Karan Singh, who I mentioned, is a great Indian statesman who I hope to meet on the next visit to India. Third person I'll mention, Mr. Gene Keeper, very good friend and colleague of Dr. Karen Singh, Pandit Gopi Krishna. Gene reminded me about the KRP in 2011. Believe it or not, I met him on Facebook. And number 4, I'd like to mention Mr. George Tompkins, who I met at a satsang at an ashram, a yoga ashram in Australia in 1994. This is when I first heard about the Kundalini Research Project and decided then and there that I wanted to be a participant in this project. Now it's 20 years later. We're actually going to do the project now that Pandit Gopi Krishna envisioned 43 years ago. Now I'd like to move on to the next slide, please, Mike. Now I'm going to explain a little bit about the Kundalini Research Project. First, I'll go through the diagram, which you can see there. Kundalini Research Project, as I mentioned in the first slide, I'm very happy to announce that we now have an official KRP lab at the World Peace Centre, which holds the UNESCO chair, the World Peace Centre at MIT University, or the Maharashtra Institute of Technology in Pune. Many thanks go to Dr. Thornton Streeter, who's the CEO founder of the Centre for Biofield Sciences. Now we see on the right-hand slide there some slides that Thornton has shared with me, and you'll be very interested to see the work that they're doing. They're really getting into cutting-edge research in the Pranamaya Kosha. Now we're joining forces, and Thornton and his team are very much going to help us. We're going to explain a little bit more while you look at that slide. I'm going to explain a little bit more about the Kundalini Research Project. We're going to undertake scientific research of the Kundalini hypothesis through a successful awakening in selected subjects within a directed experimental environment, which is known as the Kundalini Research Project. We plan to organise either as a group or individually a team of fully qualified scientists to conduct our research project. The scientists and research subjects participants will of course be working in the project in close collaboration with leading yogic masters and adepts in the spiritual sciences. We already have a very highly evolved Indian yogi who is an official KRP representative who is willing to undertake any scientific scrutiny in order to help the KRP gain the necessary, very necessary financial funding to undertake the planned KRP experiment. Now I know RJ is sitting here watching this today with many of his disciples in Jabalpur in Madhya Pradesh. I'll just say a little bit about Mr. Ajay Patel. He's a very mystic yogi. He's from a very small village near Jabalpur, right in the centre of India, Madhya Pradesh. In my opinion, in reality, he is a true Paramahansa, but belongs to no order or sampradaya. He's very much a yogi, and he's totally dedicated to this Kundalini Research Project. Below, I'm going to repeat now a summary of the proposed KRP experiment. Kundalini Research Project proposal. The KRP is planned to be a very big project consisting of 150 course participants or yoga participants subjects. 108, very auspicious number, is the minimum. The subjects of different age groups, both male and female, from every continent on Earth, just to show that this is a cross-cultural global phenomena, including excellent yoga teachers, adepts, and a leading scientific team. The objective is to conduct a thorough scientific research on the Kundalini awakening and to explore its positive impacts in both physiological, biochemical, biophysical, genetic, psychological, and overall consciousness levels on the individual and on the collective society. We plan to find methodologies to deliver the beneficial outcomes of the research to mankind. The research proposal, in brief, we're scientifically planning to collect or to examine physiological sensations and changes during Kundalini awakening, detection and analysis of the bioelectrical magnetic field generated from the heart, neural and tissue cells, the biological, biochemical, biomolecular studies of the blood, hormones, receptors, and especially nucleic acids, a genetic DNA study in the body during Kundalini yoga. We also plan to study quantum mechanical, neuroscientific and parapsychological studies of consciousness. We also plan to study PSI, psychic energy, the life field, bioplasmic body, the bioenergy field, the secret of prana. Now, what I'd like to do here, before I conclude and we go into the Q&A, I'd like to send a rallying call of support to real Indian yogis. I'm calling to real Indian yogis. We require your help. I'd like, if possible, to meet and connect with Swami Mounamurti, Maharaj Baba, and my sannyas guru, Swami Niranjananda Saraswati, and others. Please help and support. Get involved with the KRP mission for global peace. And finally, I would like to let you all know that the KRP will soon be publishing their first book, which I have authored, titled The Truth Is Within, Kriya Yoga and the KRP. Thank you. I'm not sure of the time, Mike, but if you like, you can move into the Q&A.
Absolutely. Thanks very much, Muna. This is a really great presentation. Thank you for sharing. I'd just like to take the next few minutes to ask you a few questions that we've collected from our audience. First question is from Shaila. She asked, she said, Swami, when I meditate on normal breathing, my body vibrates in different ways. Is that the Ida, Pingala, or Sushumna Nadi? Sometimes spiral movement of the body, sometimes like a pendulum, left and right, sometimes front and back. Is that an indication of energy in my nadis? Thanks.
Well, it's definitely an indication of energy moving. The rocking, you mentioned rocking. You can feel your body moving. Maybe that's the indication of the astral body moving, as your awareness is moving out of the physical into the astral. Definitely there's many phenomena that occur during the process of purification and awakening. The process of purification takes a long time. It's not something that happens instantaneously. And this is the idea through yoga. We can, and especially this pranayama that we're teaching, or Nadi Shodhan pranayama in particular, you can remove energy blockages. But there's many other means of purification. Purifications of thought, word and deed, a unification between desires, ambitions. There's many things that come up. When this energy starts awakening, it's like you're sitting on top of, you might say, a volcano. And all of a sudden it starts erupting, and all the contents that are within your body your mind. Definitely inside your mind, you can imagine how much is in your mind. You can't even imagine what's in your mind. What's in your mind in this birth is started the day you were born through every sensory avenue. That information is arriving into and impacting on your subconscious mind. It's filtering in through the subconscious into the unconscious. And also, if you believe in reincarnation, which I hope you do, or you will after this presentation, I hope, or with deeper insight and practice, you come to believe or possibly believe in past lives, reincarnation, as you start having your own experiences, and slowly deciphering the code from within your unconscious mind that is trying to help you, teach you. And you're also moving through so many different areas. The samskaras, the impressions that are lying, hidden, buried in the subconscious, the unconscious, they start to rise up to the conscious mind. And as that happens, there's a lot of purification that goes on. A lot of phenomena, different phenomena happen that may be sensed in the physical body, also in the astral body. There's many, many phenomena, which I'd like to go into maybe in a later webinar, and we'll have plenty of discussions. And I really love this subject, and I'm glad you asked this question. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Muna. We also have one more question here. That is, how does the breathing exercises help balance someone through the awakening of Kundalini?
Okay, this is a very important question. I'm glad that somebody's mentioned this. I don't know if you've read the biography of Pandagopi Krishna, but it's a very good idea if everybody does do this. Pandagopi Krishna is an icon in this field of Kundalini Yoga, and he's one of the first ones to write openly about his experiences with the awakening of Kundalini. And you'll remember that he experienced a lot of difficulties, especially initially for the first few years, when he says his Shakti went through the Pingala Nadi, the solar Nadi. He had a lot of difficulty, even though his consciousness was exploring different dimensions. He had a lot of difficulty as this serpent fire, you might say. Or the Kundalini, the Prana Shakti, was channeling through his Pingala Nadi. And after a few years, he immensely gained the capacity to redirect that prana back down to the seat of Kundalini in Muladhara chakra, and to gradually find the entrance, the pathway to Sushumna. And once he found Sushumna, then he found the true pathway. Okay, so you can come into difficulties if the Shakti or the energy is awakened in Ida and Pingala. You might be stuck in Pranamaya Kosha or different chakras. There's also lokas. I haven't got time to mention the lokas, the dimensions, right? But that's another very interesting subject. The koshas, the lokas are the dimensions. When Kundalini starts moving upwards through Sushumna, through the chakras, you actually physically leave this, or your awareness leaves your physical body. You experience different dimensions. In yoga and tantric tradition, these are known as lokas. The 7 lokas, from Bhu Loka to Satyam Loka in Sahasrara. There's a lot of difficulty there. Thank you. There's a lot of difficulty there if the Shakti finds its way through Pingala or Ida. You don't want to be stuck in, we were talking about the hemispheres before, you don't want to be stuck in the right hemisphere of your brain, for instance, if it's going through Ida. You don't want to be stuck in the left hemisphere with the solar force, Pingala. You want to be perfectly balanced, and this is the yogic way, through balance, total balance all the way, with your lifestyle, with not only with your lifestyle, with your yoga practices, balancing the swaras, balancing the energy, the prana, balancing your life, your lifestyle. Very important, your lifestyle. And it takes years to readjust, to go with the flow. The flow is the evolutionary force of Kundalini. It's trying to direct you unconsciously, your life, towards evolution. Evolution is moving towards moksha, towards sahasrara, eventually, after many lifetimes. And yoga sadhana, you might have been practicing in many lifetimes, different sadhanas. But eventually, we reach through Sushumna, Anandamaya Kosha, non-duality, sahasrara. I don't know how the time's going, Mike.
Yeah, we have actually a few quick questions, Muna.
Yeah, sure.
So the first question comes to us from Lorne in Canada. He asks, is this project going to be open for those that are already awakened? That is, let's say, 2 years into the purification after the first, he says, spinal sweep. I think maybe he means the initial awakening of Kundalini.
Certainly. And what I'd like to say here, mention as well, is that the role ESF, Emerging Sciences Foundation, is collecting information from people around the world that are having symptoms, signs and symptoms of chakra and or Kundalini awakening. We are, through a sophisticated analysis, ESF is analysing this data, or we'll be starting the project around Christmas time or a little bit after, analysing the data. And this information will also be used through the phases of screening through our research base in Pune. We're using Thornton Streeter's equipment, technology, and other people's technology that we've got there at the School of Biofield Sciences and the KRP lab. We'll be going through different technologies, working on screening, and then what we hope to do by putting the signs and symptoms together through the analysis, some screening, through the technologies that we have. Then we're trying to put the business plan together for the actual project. And I'm going to go forward then to the Indian government then for funding. And we're trying to get this project moving. And definitely, we're looking for people that have got some signs and symptoms of chakra awakening already. That's fantastic. And we can study through the practice of yogic sadhana the changes. As we progress through this yoga camp, you might say, the 5-year project, check out biologically, psychologically, in every different way. We will analyse the changes, what's happening to the enzymes, what's happening to the brain waves, what's happening to the bioenergy, what's happening in so many different ways. We will analyse this in the subjects, what's happening to their DNA. Very interesting subject. What's happening to the DNA because of the Kundalini Shakti? We're going to analyse all this and much more. And you're totally welcome to join us. Anyone that's had some sort of awakening, join this camp. Practice yoga for 5 years under controlled experiment conditions. We'll analyse the results, and hopefully out of this project we'll get a few fully awakened people, fully, totally awakened, like Pandit Gopi Krishna and many other yogis, like Swami Satchinanda, or a few others that have reached that height in spirituality. We hope to be able to show to the world that this is a biological process. We can start it. It is part of spiritual evolution. Biological evolution is part of the greater spiritual evolution. And we will prove this through our project. We will prove the Kundalini hypothesis and bring in the Kundalini paradigm for humanity's sake. Thank you.
Great answer, Muna. Our last question comes from John Griga. He asks, does a heart-centered meditation that awakens Kundalini occur only through the Sushumna channel?
Hi, John. Thanks for joining us. Yes, my first experience also was through the heart chakra. And as I mentioned earlier, on the stages of the awakening, and you can print out the notes as well. The chakra awakening, say the heart chakra, it might not be a full-blown Kundalini awakening, but the awakening can definitely happen in the heart chakra. This is like an initial wake-up call, which is what happened to me, and hopefully it'll happen to many people. Through the heart chakra, you become to, when the heart chakra awakens, you're totally changing. Your whole personality starts changing as you start to live a more divine life in more alignment with the divine plan. And this is also one of the granthis, the psychic knots, which I should mention as well. The granthi, or the psychic knot, as the Kundalini Shakti is rising through Sushumna, they say there's, according to tradition, there's 3 psychic knots. The first knot is at Muladhara. It's called the Brahma Granthi. As that unties, the awareness can rise further in Sushumna. When it reaches the heart chakra and the heart, the Vishnu Granthi, that knot can be untied. It's when your attachments to your emotional attachments are worked out. Then it can rise a little further. Then when the Shakti gets to Agnya, the Rudra Granthi, or the knot of Shiva, the Shiva Granthi or the Rudra Granthi is the attachment to psychic phenomena. And many of us on this path of Kundalini Yoga, there's many psychic phenomena come our way. And the attachment has to be transcended to go further to the Anandamaya, Kosha and Sahasrara.
Thank you very much, Muna. Those are all the questions that we have for you today. I wanted to mention that a few viewers had connection problems during the presentation and were wondering if this webinar would be available on YouTube or on the websites. The answer to that is yes. This presentation will be on YouTube and will very likely end up on both the Kundalini Research Project website and the website of the Emerging Sciences Foundation. Once again, I just wanted to thank everybody for joining us today, and Muna, many thanks to you for presenting this very important subject matter to the world. I hope everyone attending today walked away with a better understanding of the subject, and I invite you all to join us for future webinars. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike, and thank you, everybody. Pranams.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.